like I said, it was one of those things where it's like, I hated sitting idle when he's gone. I was trying to tell the guys, look, let's get another guy so we can still tour. And whenever Lee's available, that's great. He won't care. And they're like, well, we don't want to do it without Lee. And I'm like, you guys are nuts. And then finally, Kragen's like, you're right. Let's go.
What's up, everybody? It's Keefy of GhostCultMag.com. I am thrilled to be joined for the third time in my career by Dave White of Heathen. How are you doing today, sir?
Well, thank you, man.
Tonight for
Good to see you.
you, still evening for you, also evening for me. Thank you for making the time.
Sure. Absolutely.
Super excited. Live album, Heathen live album. I think it's the first Heathen live album officially.
It is the first one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what a yeah.
Go ahead. I was
No, I
going
was
to
gonna
say,
yeah, go ahead, you.
uh, no, I was gonna say we recorded in Greece years ago with Lee and Darren, and we did, a full show, and we just never got it finished, as far as like fixing things, and then Lee, he got busy with Exodus and he never, finished all his stuff. So that maybe will come in the future, but yeah, we finally got something out that, of course, the whole thing will be released next month, but I'm super stoked to have a live record finally.
Absolutely. Heathen, always one of the best live bands out there. I think that's how you guys made your bones. Not as many releases over the years, and I know you've been in and out of the band and been in the band though for quite a while now, this go round. And yeah, Bleed the World Live is coming March 14th from Nuclear Blast, your longtime label. And I'm so stoked. This thing crushes. What a good year. If you like heavy metal and thrash metal, what a good year for metalheads so far. We get a new record from Sacrifice after I don't know how long. Hyrax has a new record and a live record from Heathen. The Eaton is good if you love crunchy metal riffs and great
Yeah,
singing.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I think
excited.
people are working and, trying to get stuff out there.
Right on. So this is a live record with the kind of new configuration of the band.
Yeah.
The two new recent members have come in, and you guys recorded this in 23. And it's not the most comprehensive set, but I like that it's got like a little bit from everything. So it's like a very good sample. I always feel like live albums, if you don't have a complete collection of a band that you love, a live album is always a good place to jump in and get like the full meal.
Well, yeah, I mean, we would love to, we recorded live on like every show, like on a couple different tours. Our sound man, Jonah, did a lot of recordings and then we just kind of picked through everything to see what we could use. And then the initial set, like when we were out on tour with Overkill, our set wasn't that long. Symphony X was a little bit longer, but we had a lot to choose from, and we did the best we could as far as songs, and consequently, for the vinyl, everything fits on the vinyl. We couldn't have gotten anything else on that on a actual record.
Amazing. I'm so stoked for this vinyl as a big vinyl nerd. I'm sure you are also
Oh, yeah.
equally excited that vinyl has made such a huge comeback. And shout out to Nuclear Blast. I have a whole side podcast about vinyl care and vinyl for metalheads and rockers. And like a lot of companies don't put the care into the packaging. Almost always, Nuclear Blast will send you your vinyl in a Mylar or like paper with the Mylar inside, which is actually good for your vinyl and good for your collection, good for your turntables, reduce the static, all these things. And the packaging's always beautiful. I'm so pumped for this artwork. So many things to unpack. Were you a big vinyl kid growing up? I'm sure you had to be, right? Eight tracks,
Absolutely, and
eight tracks and vinyl.
I had some H I didn't and it's funny because I didn't have too many 8 tracks. I had a lot of cassettes, and then I always, vinyl for sure, and I pretty much have almost everything on vinyl that I ever bought. I still have it. I during the when CDs came out and people started letting go of their vinyl, I was like, "There's no fucking way I'm letting go of these records. No way." But the first record I ever bought was actually the Banana Splits.
Yes.
I was like
Yes.
I was like in kindergarten. I even brought it to show and tell, but I don't have that record anymore. I don't know whatever happened to that fucking thing,
Oh
but
my gosh, that would be a treat to find on vinyl in the wild. I
oh,
love
I
the
know.
banana splits. I just remember like belly ache laughing my whole life at that show.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first like rock or heavy metal vinyl that you ever bought? Like, or
The first well, it's kind of a weird thing because the first vinyl that I have that sort of put my hands on was my older brother. we all those kids, I have a big family, and, out of a magazine, my brother, like, did one of those, like, K-Till, you pay a penny and you get, like, 20 records, you know? Of course, you're supposed to pay for them later, and, we were a fucking bunch of kids, and he picked out a bunch of good records. It was, like, Elton John and, Chicago and Isley Brothers, all this stuff, but it was this one that I picked out, it was British rock, right? Because I was a big Beatles fan as a kid and the Rolling Stones, and it had the Kinks on it and had all this stuff, and that's one of the ones where when I started playing music at an early age, like trumpet, and I was always interested in the drums, and I got a drum set, and then I kinda got this big drum set, and I kinda didn't know what to do with this thing, you know? And then I put on that British rock, put on the Kinks, "You Really Got Me," and, I was like, I don't know, 10 years old, and it was like getting that beat, it was like, "Oh, that's how it," and syncopated the whole thing together, and that's when I figured out what I was doing on the drum set, you know? But when the first record I ever bought was Paranoid by Black Sabbath, yeah. That was my first heavy metal, yeah.
Amazing. Mine was, we'll say it's rock, not metal, but it was Kiss Rock and Roll Over. I too had the older brother connection. And, I got a lot of stuff from him, and my parents were crazy jazz nerds, and my mom liked the Beatles. But like the first thing I bought with my own money was Kiss Rock and Roll Over. I think I was 5. So it was
Right.
crazy. Right when
Well,
it
I
came
have
out.
I have the almost famous sort of scenario, but my mom wasn't uptight or anything like that. My parents weren't upset about music, but my sisters, my older sister, she's about 6 years older than me, and so she grew up during the whole Beatlemania thing, and I was just a little kid, but I saw the Beatles on TV and all that, and she had all those records, and she had all the little 45s and all that, and so she was always playing the Beatles records and the Rolling Stones and the Animals, all that kind of stuff, and she turned me on to that stuff as a kid, so I had these records, but those weren't the records I bought, in the beginning, and like I said, I remember I was getting ready to go see Black Sabbath, and I'd heard some of their stuff, and, so I went and had to get myself a record, and, of course, I'm going through the record store, and it's like, "Ah, this is the one," Paranoid, and then I went to see them, it was 1978, I saw them on the Never Say Die tour. Van Halen actually opened up on that tour. It was incredible.
Insane, insane times. What a time to be alive, the 70s, where everything happened. But I'm so stoked to have this Heathen live record now. And like I said, new configuration of the band. And so, in terms of, like every band, you play things differently. Your body changes, your voice changes in some cases, or gets better in some cases, like you. But I think, like, over the years, I know from playing music myself for a long time, where you start with a song is not how you interpret it live with you're playing or singing years later. So what is it like to have new guys in the band trying to remain faithful to some of these heathen classics and modern classics too?
Well, the cool thing is that, they just get it, because when they were coming up and starting to play music, they were really inspired by a lot of the thrash metal that came out of the Bay Area, and that sort of follows suits with a lot of the younger guitar players and drummers out there now. They went back, that maybe some of them got turned on to some of the new metal, but then so somebody's like, "Well, you should check out this. Check out Exodus. Check out," and they're like, "Holy shit. Now this is," you know what I mean? "This is aggressive. This is," or, whatever it is. But they did their homework, and Kyle, the guitar player, Kyle Edissi, he's definitely a student of the game. And it's a trip talking to him about music, and he understood, like, that was one of the things we auditioned, a few different guitar players to do the tour with us in 22, and what set him apart from the other guitar players was he was down picking, and hypnotized. It was like, "Oh, he understands the style," and that speaks, volume. The other guitar players played really great, but there was that, multiple picking and where it's like, that which when you listen to it, it's like, yeah, but when you hear somebody and you see somebody actually attacking it the way, all the guys like Gary Holt and Lee and, you know, you see that's attention to detail. And so live, it's just a cool thing to just be able to do that with these guys, and it brings a fire because they're hungry, and we still are too. But you
Uh,
know what I mean. But
yeah,
it,
of
it
course.
it's really pretty fucking awesome, And they, when we went out on the first tour with those guys in 22, we went to Europe, and we we played some festivals and there's lots of killer people, but killer bands that we played with. And I get to introduce these guys to, my friends and then to other people. And there's people that I didn't even know who they were. And Kyle's like, don't you know who that is? Like, no, but he's cool. It's like, no, that's Vogue. And I'm like, well, okay.
That's pretty
So
funny.
there's a little bit of that too.
Yeah, Kyle is wild, and of course not too shabby to have a master guy on your side there like Kragen. We've interviewed Kragen over the years a bunch of times, and he's been instrumental in this era of Heathen, which is amazing, and produced the new live record, and I know his many plates spinning that guy all the time. And then Ryan is a beast. I knew Kyle a little bit by his reputation. I didn't know Ryan at all from his work, but like, wow, what I hope the whole world gets to hear this kid. He's
Yeah,
not a kid, but just smash the drums apart with his playing
yeah.
because he's a fierce drummer.
He is, and he's a great human. Pretty low key, he has a super dry sense of humor. It's pretty funny. It's like everybody's a jokester in the band, and he's pretty quiet, but then all of a sudden he'll say something, and it's like way out in left field, and it's usually really like in the area of that's wrong, but it's fucking funny as shit coming from him. So we love him. It's been the touring aspect of everything. Everybody's been really, good to work with and gel with, and it's been, really a pleasure. And it's made it easy to do that. And sometimes it's tight quarters or whatever. And we've done a lot of touring. In 22 we did like around 80. I think we did 80 shows, that year, and then 65 shows in 23, and then we did like 65 shows last year. This might be a somewhat quiet year because we're getting ready to record the new album, but we got some stuff coming up though.
That was my next question. I mean, help me with my segues. This guy, always one of my favorites right there. Yeah, obviously new music will be on the horizon, and there's no doubt that playing some of these favorites live also keeps you like razor sharp when and your ear and your sensibilities trained when you go in to make Heathen music. You know what Heathen music is supposed to sound like. I'm sure Kragen will be instrumental in that too. So yeah, that's very exciting. We're here for it. I know the press release was like more news coming soon from Heathen, so that means either additional tour dates or studio news. So I'm very pumped for that. You do have 3 shows coming up. There's a metal festival in Chicago you guys are playing on, as well as a couple of other shows south of the border. So that's very cool.
Yeah. Well, we have something in between those, but I don't know if I'm at liberty to say yet. But we have a little short run with another great band, and we're gonna jump out there and do a little something, and then we'll finish out. We're doing a festival in Mexico. It was funny because we got offered another tour, but it's like right in the middle of May, like right when we're gonna be gone. And it's like, well, wish we would have known about that a little sooner, but
Mm,
we're not gonna change our plans, and we don't want it to get too complicated because, like I said, I think we start tracking drums in the beginning of June. So we
amazing.
really want to get that album done, and then we have some things in I think October. We go to Europe for some stuff and a couple of big festivals in Spain and maybe some other dates as well. But I think the following year is going to be a really busy year for us with the new album.
Right on, right on. In terms of getting ready for any touring, and the band being a little spread out these days, what kind of work do you do personally at home? Do you do have a home studio where you are now, and do you practice? Do you have to practice to get sharp for a show or a tour, or not really?
Oh, sure, absolutely. I'm actually uh, I'm going back to the Bay Area for this show on the 25th of April. Exodus is doing a show. It's Paul Bailoff's birthday, and I'm gonna sing with Blind Illusion. That's my first real band, and they wanted Anvil Chorus to do the show, but they couldn't. The guitar players are not getting along, and so Lee had said, "Well, we wanted to get Blind Illusion, but we wanted it to be if you sang." And I said, "Well, I would do that." And he said, "Well, would Mark do that?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I'll call him." And Mark was like, "Hell yeah!" So we're gonna do an old school set of Blind Illusion. So I'll go do that, and then so I'll be home. I'll be back in the Bay for about a week, and then I don't know. We're gonna rehearse before we go to Chicago and do that festival there on the 2nd of May. But yeah, I mean, I definitely have to put the time in, and we're doing a classic set for those festivals. We're going to do songs from Breaking the Silence and Victims of Deception. So I have to go over some of those tunes too, but of course I know them. But it's always just to be sharp, just want to be ready. And that way, because we don't know how much rehearsal time we're going to get because like you said, we're all spread out. So we might not have the luxury of that. So everybody has to do their homework and be ready to go.
That's hella exciting. I already plan to be at that one of those 2 shows, is LA and San Fran. I'll be, Berkeley. I'll be at the Berkeley show myself because I live out here, and, I could not be more excited. I would say call Claypool up and see if he wants to come in, but, he's gonna be on tour with Primus.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Blind
Well,
Illusion,
he's got
hugely important band, man.
Well, we there was some, they asked me about, maybe we could call Brian or, Brian Kehoe or something. But, I left that up to Mark as far as like, his decision because he's got a new nucleus of members now. He's got a bunch of young guys and they're super hungry and they're super good. They're super good. And, I don't, just me doing it's like, okay, I'm going to ruffle everything. So I want it to be as seamless as possible and come in there and just be an asset to that and then just have some fun with it, you know?
High school me is extremely stoked, let me tell you. And I did see the more recent Blind Illusion, about a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago, and they were a killer. So, like, yeah, no, Mark is, a wonderful guy, and, I like that he's carrying the torch and keeping the flame burning. But this is super exciting. I never got to see you with Blind Illusion. My first interview with you, we talked a lot about Blind Illusion. You're like, let's talk about Heathen. We have a new record out. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
lost my composure for a second. I'm sorry. My
that's okay.
journalistic
But,
shit goes out
I
the
mean,
window.
but I'm excited too, you know what I mean? It's like it'll be fun to do that and that show is going to be killer. And I miss a lot of my friends over there. So it's just going to be nice to be there and be a part of it, you know. He then did the show that with the Bailoff birthday party, I don't know, gosh, it was more than 10 years ago or whatever it was at the Metro. And that was a great show. It was a clusterfuck of people everywhere, but what a night, Kurt came out and played with Exodus. It was cool as shit. It's always good to be back with my Bay Area family for sure.
Right on. And you'll get to see Lee. I know he's been kind of otherwise occupied. If you guys go to make a new record, is Lee at all going to be part of it? Pardon me for asking, but it's just kind of been on my mind a little bit.
Well, I think that I think Kragen has expressed, like if, like offered like, or invited him to be a part of it if he's available. We'll see. I mean, he's always I mean, he started this band. So, he's always going to be a member of Heathen. He's always going to be part of the Heathen family. And if he is in the position or the state of mind to be a part of something, he's always welcome for sure.
Right on. Thank you for that answer. I didn't want to be indelicate, but
No, no.
inquiring minds want to know. We all love Lee.
Well,
Lee's
yeah.
incredible.
No, and it's weird. It's weird not doing something like that with him, but at the same time, excuse me, my ear itches. The same time, years ago, when he first, was, started with Exodus, he was doing a lot of stuff while we were trying to write the record, and he kept leaving for tours, and I didn't have my writing partner, and I had to do a lot of stuff just on my own because we would work out. I'd write a lot, lyrics and stuff, but we would work on melodies together. And I had to just make all that work on my own. And it was good for me, but it was just different not having him there. And then to get in the studio to do the Evolution of Chaos, we pushed it. We're like, we're booked the time. He's like, we're not ready. And I'm like, we're going. And Juan gave us the room to develop some things and smooth things out, and there was some arguing and all kinds of shit going on, but it was the kind of energy that made a great record. But like I said, it was one of those things where it's like I hated sitting idle when he's gone. It's like, well, I was trying to tell the guys, look, let's get another guy so we can still tour. And whenever Lee's available, that's great. He won't care. And they're like, well, we don't want to do it without Lee. And I'm like, you guys are fucking nuts. And then finally, Cragen's like, you're right. Let's go, you know.
Thanks for unpacking that. I appreciate it. And also, I can speak for all Exodus fans, including you everywhere. If you can't have, I'm a huge Rick Hunolt fan, and we've interviewed him for his current band, Die Humane. If you can't have the H team, Lee is incredible. He's a beautiful, perfect complement to Gary. I mean, he really could not ask for a finer duo to carry that band into the future. And as much as we all love Zetro, I'm pumped that Dukes is back too. So it's kind of like being the kid of divorced dad, divorced dad and his kids.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I
Yeah.
mean, because I grew up with the first, with Bailoff and with Zet, and then I was just getting to know Rob, and because we did some tours with them, and, I thought Rob did a crazy good job with that group, and, he was pretty intense live, and, he really brought it, and then when they made the change, I was like, "Okay," and then but I kinda understood it and for what it's worth, but, for whatever reasons, they made a change again, and whatever. I mean, it's their deal, it's their camp, I can't worry about that. I'm happy for Rob, and, you know, let's see how it goes.
Right on. Yep. I mean, that's, having been a former singer deposed of my band as well. Been there.
Oh,
Been there
yeah.
myself. It's all good. That's why I do this now because I know, and I recently started a new band, so we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I haven't sung in a band in like 15 years. Good luck to me. And
Oh, yeah. Good luck.
lots of luck. But as we wind this down, I want to give you back your evening and your family time. I'm so appreciative to talk to you again for, like I said, the third time in my career in Ghost Cult history. Since you brought up Black Sabbath at the beginning of this interview, I'll ask you, what are your thoughts on this massive farewell show for Black Sabbath and Ozzy? A lot of conflicting feelings. It looks insane, like just the quality of the talent there. I'm a little worried about Ozzy just in general and everybody of a certain age that's, a generation up from you and I. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on this big deal show in July?
I just wish I could fucking be there because I missed it when they came around on that last tour, and I got to see, like, the movie they made, the sort of documentary of it, and I totally loved that, and I thought the drummer did a great job, but it looks like, Bill Ward's gonna do this tour, so fuck, I like I said, I saw them in 1978, and, of course, they broke up not long after that tour, but I saw Black Sabbath, and then I saw them with Dio, and I saw him with Ian Gillan, and, I would have loved to see them one more time. This big show, yeah, I'm probably not gonna be able to see that show except for, on my television. It's gonna be monumentous. I wish we could be a part of it, but,
Same, same,
you
same.
know?
But I definitely can't make it over there for that. It's
But it's one of
yeah,
those things where it's like, it's gonna be an end of an era for sure, but we all we're all getting older and that's, one of those things, but, hey, it's gonna be a great send off, and I hope for Ozzy, yeah, that he's in, good health for that. I think that he will be. I think that, for one show, touring takes a lot out of you, but for him to be able to just, take whatever, because there's all kinds of good healthy things that you can put in your body to really bring that energy, and then he just has to get out there and bring it, for one good night, I'm sure he will,
yeah. I know how
so,
much it means to him to just get in front of the fans one last time. I know that's the main driver here. It's not. It's a charity show, by the way. I know that tickets were very expensive. The show is all the proceeds are going to charity, which is a big
yeah.
deal. Two very important charities, and yeah, I know what it means to him. By the way, I love that you saw Ian Gillan with Black. That just kind of shook me a little bit for a second because I am a stand for Born Again. I was very excited to get this Tony Martin box set. It's outside on my shelf in my other room, but like if I could ever get Born Again remixed and remastered from
Oh, yeah.
Tony and Ian, I'll flip out because that's my shit. Honestly, like I almost love that on par with the Dio stuff, which I know is unusual to hear from anyone say that. But like I love me some Ian Gillan in any form, and I'll take it.
Yeah, well, he's my favorite of all
I
time,
know that.
and
Yeah, that
he's
was our
my
first
favorite,
interview.
and when I got to do the Jason Becker benefit, David Lopez, he called me up and he's like left a message, he's like, "What do you think of Deep Purple? Call me back." And I'm like, "What?" So I call him back, he goes, "Well, Steve Morris is gonna come, and, he's gonna do 3 songs you wanna sing, some Bu Deep Purple." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?" That's one of the, like, my most favorite moments of music. That night and also singing Sails of Sharon with Uli was just like a dream come true for me, And anytime Lee's like, "Oh, we did this with Iron Maiden, Exodus, da 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 da," and I'm like, "I sang with Uli, okay? That
That's
trumps
amazing.
that trumps everything, and I got to do
Yeah.
Deep Purple with Steve Morris."
Checkmate,
Yeah.
yo. Dave White, a great guy, a consummate professional, a singer's singer, as I always say. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and
Oh,
Ghost
sure.
Cult tonight. And congratulations on this new live album. And hopefully we hear more about tours and stuff later this year and in between. And we'll try to catch you at one of these. I'll see you at Berkeley for sure, at
Yeah,
least
well,
on stage.
you'll be hearing probably in the next month what's happening. So that's coming.
Killer, man.
So
Thank you so much for your time. And again, it's always a pleasure and an honor.
Absolutely, for me too.
All right, thank you. Take care. Have a good night.
I'll see you soon.
You will?
Yeah.
In about 10 weeks.
All right.
Peace out.
Peace.